Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. My name is John, and in this video I'm going to go over the settings within Gaio. I know it's maybe been a while since I've been here on the home screen, but yeah. You can access the settings by clicking here and more, and then clicking settings. And the first tab that shows up is this general tab. Just kind of shows some information about your license, version, type, whether or not the help desk is active, and the user limit and your environment. In this case, it shows 0, which means it's unlimited. Going into the white label, this is a feature that's coming soon, but essentially it lets you kind of put your own logo and things like that on the application. So maybe if you were selling your own application or outside users were using it, you wanted to put your own logo on it, you would be able to do that with a white label license. We have two-factor authentication providers, so you can enable 2FA, enable a session timeout, or another conventional sign-in. And that's just so if you are working with sensitive data, maybe you want that kind of login, maybe you just want to integrate with an existing 2FA system that you have at your company. Everyone at your company already uses Microsoft Authenticator, so you can just kind of implement that here. And then here we also have you can connect with third-party authentication providers like Google and Microsoft. Finally, for the general tab is the SMTP. So through Gaio, you're able to send out emails and SMS and things like that. So here you just set up your email server settings. So maybe I have a email campaign that I have the task for sending an email run when a certain user signs up or something like that. I would be able to send that email automatically through Gaio just by setting up these fields here. Now moving into the tags menu, I'm just gonna move my camera. Nice. Now we're over here. The tags menu is where you're able to share applications with different users that have accounts in your environment. So if I go to user, you can see all of the users that currently have an account on this environment here. I'm using the Gaio documentation, so I'm just going to click. Now you can see it shows up there. And I have my projects menu and my sources. So, you know, maybe because I'm an admin, I get to see all the projects. So I might not have access, but I can grant them to myself. Maybe I want access to this Gaio doc project. I can click that and it'll show up here. And here are your data sources as well. So these are all of your outside data connections. So maybe you have people in an environment that are working with different companies or different sets of secure data, and you don't want them to be able to access each other's information. You'll be able to give them secure access and permissions to use that data here. So just for testing, I want to give myself this Gaio test source, and now I can grant, and it looks like the permissions were granted. Now going into the users tab, this is where we can create users, add them to user groups, as well as change their permissions. So in Gaio we have 3 types of users: the user, the developer, and the admin. A user has the least amount of permissions. They just basically all they can do is view dashboards and the final dashboard. So maybe you're a salesperson and the analysts are building everything and all you want to do is just view the dashboard. You would be a user. It also makes it so that you can't go in and make any changes to the data workflow. You probably won't be able to see all of the menus here, like the user or the tags. You can't share applications, things like that. Just making it so that you can give permissions to the people that need to have those types of permissions. The developer can see the data workflow view. They can create and build applications. They can share their own applications with other users, but when I open the tags menu as an administrator, I could see everyone's application. They wouldn't be able to see that, and they also wouldn't have access to this users menu. And finally, the admin has access to everything. This menu, settings, creating applications, dashboard view, data workflow, everything. And you can create a new user by clicking here in the top left. Now we can change the type, user, developer, admin, put their name, real verified email address, a temporary password. We can give them a user group if we want to, and change their preferred language, excuse me, for using the, and if I had filled all these fields out, I could click save and they would be able to log in immediately with their email and temporary password, and change that as well if they want to. Now moving into the data sources tab, here we can connect to data sources that are outside of Gaio. So maybe you have an outside database that you're trying to connect to, or things like that. You can also edit and test your existing connections. So adding a connection into Gaio is relatively simple. You just click this new add source button. You can give it a label and select the client. Based on which client you're using, the options will change. So you can see here when I chose Oracle, there's more credentials that you need to connect. But yeah, you'll need fill in all this information, maybe a user and password depending on the connection that you're connecting to, and then you would just click save. You're also able to refresh and test and edit existing connections. But that's really it for this menu. Going into the AI tab, here you're able to select a new AI provider and add new ones. You can change their permissions. So we all know that some public LLMs sometimes leak information and maybe store data that they shouldn't, or that you think is sensitive. So here you're able to change the permissions and the types of information that you wanted to be able to see within your applications, like sample data analytics and the results sample. You can also define those here. If I was to unclick this, I could click this and it would apply it. Set the preferred AI provider, and you can also create a new one here. So you can see our suppliers: DeepSeek, Anthropic, Mistral, Grok, all that good stuff. You put an API key. You can even change the model if you want to, and give it a name as well. Now the last tab here is the project share. Basically what this does is, when you create an application in Gaio, the only tables that you'll see in that table menu is tables from a data source that application is directly connected to, or tables that have been created in that application itself. But say you wanted to, share tables between two different applications. Here I have selected this Gaio Community Docs and the SNOP Studio. I'm doing some calculations in here that I want to share. I don't need to recreate them, and I want to use the tables. So what it will do is it will create essentially a new folder in my table view that will show tables from the SNOP application if I'm in the Gaio Community Docs, and likewise if I'm in the SNOP Studio application. So this just, if you have two people working on different applications at the same time and they want to share data, or maybe you have an application just for your importation in ETL and one for your dashboards, you can just share those tables over, things like that. Like maybe your data engineers need the permissions to the data source, but your analysts don't. It allows you to create user permissions and things like that. So very cool stuff. And I'm just going to click apply, success. And that's basically it for the settings menu. As always, the Gaio documentation will be linked below if you have any questions, and our customer support team is always available to answer any of the questions you may need. Thank you.